Here burning the midnight oil. I never did make it to the gym tonight. Went out hanging out with a couple of friends, and things happened and went the way they did. Uh, it's a crazy night, but this is a live chat for those who don't know what that is. But yep, Carcino's back. But this is a live chat in case those who don't know what it is. Just so in case you hear me responding to people on the screen, this is a live feed. So if you're watching it back, this was done live. But for the rest of you guys who just got here, yes, I'm a midnight cowboy. Midnight is like afternoon to me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm kind of seeing that the notifications are somewhat going out. Here's what happened with the Lauryn Hill situation. I need a better sleep schedule. Well, no, I need to be on this sleep schedule right now that I'm on because this is gonna get me ready for Star Wars. This is part of the training. No, I'm not in Waukegan, but I'm close to it. But yeah, let's get to it. Uh, there's different scenarios and different situations when you're talking about Lauryn Hill. We all know the incident that happened when Lauryn Hill was. Okay, there you are. Sorry about that. We are back online for those who was saying that it was frozen and all that stuff. We're back online, and yes, it's cool. It's back cool. When Lauryn Hill decided that they decided to do a solo project with Lauryn Hill. A lot of things were in the works at that time. When Wyclef, and then were there, and things started to fall apart. You start seeing, a major change in the people that was around the situation. Like people who were in the know or surrounded, they started to act a little weird. And what I mean is they were like Wyclef and her were fighting. So as the Fugees was rising, and she basically made her fame off the Fuji album, and she was doing her own project. Everybody else was doing individual projects. It was weighing in on her because Wyclef and her had a personal relationship. And when that went left, and she was working on her individual album and all of this success and everything that's coming with it, it was sounding like a Fuji album, but then not quite. She was doing mostly cover songs. And this was the first time we really heard her do an original song that she was singing was that thing, but most of these were old songs that they had to pay for. And once they had the controversy with the writing situation, there was a disconnect. There was a disconnect with her and the record label because they didn't put the those other two guys who wrote the songs for Lauryn Hill. They didn't get credit for writing most of the songs, so they ended up going to court and losing and had to pay millions and writing credits to these guys here, who they knew written the songs. So they settled out of court and kept everything quiet. But what happened was Lauryn Hill was so disgusted that the record label didn't take her back, in this case, and she didn't get the money that she was supposed to get and was promised, because they said, well, we had to pay those writers and this and that, but you owe us this and you owe us that, and come back. And so she walked away from the deal because they basically balked at the agreement that they made, and it wasn't her doing. She gave them credit for what they did. But whoever did the artwork or whatever decided to omit those guys of their credit and end up costing the record labels millions. It wasn't Lauryn Hill's fault. But they made it her fault and leaned off her and tried to say, well, we're going to get the money back through Lauryn Hill. And it was really their decision and their doing that created this. So the record label was mad when she walked away from the contract. So when she walked away from the deal, so when Lauryn Hill walked away from the deal, when it was on the table, she walked away from the deal and the contract. She basically voided her deal, and they wanted to ruin her career because of it. They were like, look, you're going to just leave right now? You're going to just leave when the album is still hot? The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill became one of the biggest successful albums to have never had a follow-up record. It had made way more money than they had to pay out to those guys. It had made so much money, and for Lauryn Hill, they wanted to not pay her for anything. And it's to the fact that she can't even perform those songs. Like when she goes out and she performs those songs, she cannot use the music. It'll be a whole new music. It'll be whole new everything. She cannot do that because they would not permit her to do it. When she did the performance for the Chappelle Block Party, she could not even use her. She couldn't even use her. She couldn't even use her stage name. She had to. She couldn't even use her stage name. I'm sorry. She couldn't use herself as Lauryn Hill at the time. So they came back as a Fuji reunion on the Dave Chappelle thing, and they were able to do the Fuji song, but they couldn't do any of her other songs. That's why now if you go see Lauryn Hill in concert, she's not using the same music because she can't. They won't allow her to do that. So what happened was LaFace came around. LaFace at this time was still together, and they were talking about actually doing something with her. You know, L.A. Reid was getting involved, and they wanted to see what they can get, done with, Lauryn Hill and this contract. And yeah, so it was a bad situation, fellas. But they had on the table a deal that would have netted her upwards of $25 million if she was to come back. This was going to be the return of Lauryn Hill. What's his name? L.A. Reid wanted Lauryn Hill badly to come back, and he was going to work everything out. She wasn't going to have to pay such and such. He was going to fix everything. L.A. Reid was willing to do that. Then something happened. She said no. She said no. She said, I'm raising my kids. I'm raising my children right now, not thinking about music. I'm not coming back. L.A. Reid said, this is the time. This is this is the time, Lauren. The people want to hear you. We can set up concert dates and tours. The return of Lauryn Hill. I can get you out of your deal. This is the time. She said no. She did not want to be a slave to another contract. She wanted nothing to do with any more record deals that they were trying to sign her into. She was not interested. So now you guys know clearly why she did walk away. Yeah, upwards of 25. I'm just saying 25 because I know it was more than 25. She walked away for more than $25 million. Legitimately, she did. She walked away from it. She owed in back taxes and all this stuff for stuff that they were trying to find a ways to struggle her, and that's why she's doing tours and shows now to make she could just do tours and shows. But like as far as publishing rights, she really don't have any because most of her songs were cover songs. And and this is why I try to tell people is that when you covering other people's music, it's not necessarily a good thing because you owe these people now. You know what I'm saying? They own your work. You don't own your work anymore. They own it more than you do. They got more say over your music than you do. That's how sad it is. I tried to tell people all the time, don't sign away your publishing. Don't sign away your publishing. Don't sign away your publishing. Don't do just cover songs because it's going to burn you in the end. It was sad because Lauryn Hill, she had there's a song with Lauryn Hill. She was supposed to do the song with Kanye West. It all falls down. Remember, Lauryn Hill did the song first on the College Dropout album. She did the song on there, thinking it was gonna be okay to do. So they paid Lauryn Hill for doing the song, and they was going to do the Lauryn version, and they couldn't get it released. The album, the record label fought it. They wouldn't let it go. They don't want nothing Lauryn Hill released. They would not let it released. So they put Selena Johnson on it. So it's a whole lot of things that was going on where they wanted to just hold her down because they were mad. Lauryn Hill blew all the extra money they could have made off the tours, off the shows, off the videos for all the rest of the songs that they already set up, and she walked away from it all. All good. It's good morning. Oh, well, good morning for you. It's good evening for me because this is like almost my bedtime. She's not broke. She's making good money right now on tour with Nas and everything else. She got shows. But see, this is the thing though, when you do shows, you'll have to do shows for the rest of your life. This is like things that James Brown and them guys had to do at the time. They had to do these shows because things fall apart at the highest level. And when they start falling apart, who's there to put it together? Not at all, sir. No, Prince had a. You got to understand, Prince's situation was entirely different. Prince had millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. It was. His contract was over $100 million. It's a whole different boat from like hip hop. Prince had hundreds of millions of dollars. His contract was like $100 million contract. Prince had money. Believe me, you don't own an estate like Prince did and you don't have money. He owns an estate. See, they want you to believe that people were broke. Do you think Prince was broke? You don't charter planes. You don't have no. Prince was nowhere near broke, buddy. He wrote all his music. Do you understand? Wrote, played the instruments, everything. Producer credits. Do you think Prince wasn't getting his royalties? No. Prince has videos made nobody's ever seen. Prince has videos and he has stuff done for days. He's nowhere near broke. This man is worth so much money, it's crazy. So Prince was about music. That was his life. He dedicated his life to music, to create. He just performed differently because he wanted control. It wasn't the record label screwed him. It was just that he wanted more control. Prince wanted to do what he wanted to do when he wants to do it. See, here's the problem. Michael Jackson and Prince were in two different boats. Michael Jackson actually owned about probably a little bit. They both owned a considerable amount of music, but when Michael got his hands on the Beatles catalog, see what Michael had was worth more than money. Michael had collateral. He had wealth, something that couldn't be replaced, and they couldn't destroy it because they could destroy Michael's music, but they can't destroy something that they want, and that's that Beatles catalog. And no black man was ever supposed to get his hands on that catalog. And once Michael Jackson got his hands on the catalog, he became public enemy number one to the white man. They loved Michael Jackson until he got his hands on that Beatles catalog. Then he became Wacko Jacko. Yeah, Paul McCartney, the one who told him to do it, actually turned against him. Yeah, that's who turned against him. I look 20, thank you. Because I know I'm not. Well, they called it. She claimed that she had like she had writer's block. Lauryn Hill was encouraged by the record company to have an abortion. People, you got to realize she was pregnant during this album. So when she had, she got the after Lost Ones and everything else, and she had the baby, and all this stuff was going on. This is when all the problems came in. They were trying to make her have an abortion. Like the record labels people, this, you know what I'm saying? They only see the money. Oh, thank you, Michael Foster. I appreciate it, man. I really do. Well, you're dealing with Sony. Sony is not a record label for rap. You know, it's like Sony, but this is like Columbia Records with Rough House. And, you know, at that time, Columbia Records had Nas. They had a couple of other people, but she was with the Rough House people, and they was playing rough. So when they had help come through, like a lot of people tried to help Lauryn Hill, but they just didn't understand that what was going on at that situation. That she really was drained, and she really walked away from all of it. She could have had multi-millions of records. They had her ready to be with the best and top artists in the game. She didn't want it. She didn't want it. LaFace was ready to take her over. Babyface and L.A. Reid was ready to work with her. She had all these people lined up to make songs with her. They said no, no, and no. She walked away from it all. Upwards of $20 million. It's more than 20 million. More than 25. She would have made. She walked away from it. Hold on. Change in weather. When the weather changed, my throat started getting scratchy. Sinuses start to kick in. You know how it is. Now, Lauren was gonna walk away from the deal because she had just had her son, and all the stress and everything that went in. So she put herself in like an exile. She won Grammy. She won everything, and it was crazy. She was the black woman that everybody, the sisters, got behind because they didn't see women of color and, you know, do the things that she was doing. As far as singing, her voice, she was on Sister Act and Sister Act 2, whatever, and they loved her and they were all for her. Yeah, New Ark and all those guys, they sued Lauryn Hill. That is true. The people that wrote the songs and all that, they wanted their writing credits and they never got him. And Hill basically said, like, when they did the deal, that it was like, man, her management company and her record label, which was Rough House, Columbia, and they saying that, look, they used their songs, production skills, and everything, but you didn't credit them on the album like they should have been. The musicians claimed that the primary songwriters on two of the songs and major contributors on several other of the songs were the engineer and everything on these records. And it was her vision, but still, And she said no, they were appropriately credited, and now they were seeking to take an advantage of the success of the album. But they were like, no, no, no. And they settled it out of court for like $5 million. And everything started to fall apart since then. The record company blamed her basically for the $5 million that they lost. This not mentioning they made over $100 million off that album. The record company made $100 million off that record. I know for a fact they made $100 million. Thank you, Solomon Harris, for confirming that you're an idiot. Um, the record company made over $100 million off that record. They're mad. Lauryn Hill was responsible and had to pay those people and settled out of court for $5. So for $5 million, people think like it was that was the case that did it. That really wasn't the case that did it. They held it to her because she didn't come back and play ball. Had Lauryn Hill came back and just did the songs and kept performing and doing what they wanted to do, they wouldn't have had a problem. She was dating Bob Marley's son. And when she was dating Bob Marley's son, they had a kid. And she was planning on playing, she was going to be the wife Rita for the Bob Marley movie that they were working on. And because she was dating the son, of course, and they didn't want to do that. They were like, look, this is not what we want. And this is not what we want to go in this area. We want to keep you making pop songs and put you with other artists. We're going to blow you up and do all this stuff. But she had to stop everything because she was supposed to be in Charlie's Angels. The role that went to Lucy Liu was going to be Lauryn Hill. See, Charlie's Angels was going to be mixed, and they were going to have another person of color in there, and it was Lauryn Hill, and they ended up giving that role to Lucy Liu, which led to a whole big fallout and everything else. She turned down the Matrix movie. She had a movie, The Mexican. I don't think she was in that one. She turned down a lot of the stuff. The role that went to, what was that? That was supposed to have been Lauryn Hill's role in The Matrix. She was supposed to play Senna's, like his wife, the one that shot the rocket launcher. She's supposed to be in that, but it didn't work or something. She dropped out of everything. And oh well, thank you, J Gaming Channel. I do think my work ethic is better than anybody else in the world because I don't stop working. Yeah, her management team was arguing with her because they're trying to make her and pressure her to get in there and make money. She just had her kid. She's pregnant. She don't like to be driven to do anything. She wanted to get more into her spiritual self and she's ready to have her baby. And her management team is, we're losing money. The record company's like, we need to get out here and get this money. So her management team is thinking about money, 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 money. And then had a spiritual advisor that she was talking to. Everybody's like, this guy's a cult. He's leading you the wrong way, the wrong path. So once she didn't want to play ball, and that was it. She thought it was just an emotional crisis, but then they decided we're going to destroy her. As far as her trying to come back into music, no way. They were not going to let Lauryn Hill just come back. They're like, you left so... Even though they made $100 million off of that album. $100 million is what the record companies made off the miseducation of Lauryn Hill. They made $100 million. Let anyone tell you different. They're lying to you. I'm going to see if there's any way I can look that up for y'all. But I know what they made. Let me see. It sold 8 million copies in the United States. It sold over 19 million copies worldwide. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. They easily made over $100 million off this album. Easy. Well, it's very simple. They did a tour for the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. See, the tour started in Japan. The tour started in Tokyo, Japan. It was a worldwide tour. It sold out as soon as the tour was announced. The tour was to generate over like millions, like it was crazy amount of money for a tour. No rapper has ever seen this amount of money. This was the one that set the stage. Her tour dates and all the amount of money, millions, millions and millions of dollars for Lauryn Hill. She was selling out stadiums in Japan. She performed there and she played like 2 nights. Then she flew to London to do the Brixton Academy. So she went from Tokyo, Japan to London. She brought, when she came back home, she brought Outkast out and they performed in Detroit. Then she went back to Newark and then she became a tour date in the European. She went to Norway. She went to Manchester. She went to Japan. And she didn't want an excessive tour to begin because she was spending more time, dealing with her situation with being pregnant. And they were mad. They missed out on so much money. They wanted to bring in more tour dates. No, but they want to act like nobody got money. See, that's the problem. When people talk about it didn't do, like, people don't understand. People act like Lauryn Hill screwed somebody over. They're mad because she didn't play ball. That's the biggest thing. Lauryn Hill didn't play ball. You see, people are used to controlling you and thinking they can control you with money. So when they throw money at you, you're supposed to jump. And when you don't jump from the money, then that's a bigger problem. They was like, well, we threw money at it and she didn't jump. What's this about? What's going on with her? I threw. It's like, look, I threw money at it. What's the problem? Yeah, it was excessive amount of money for that tour. Well, Lauryn Hill is probably at a point now where she can go ahead and record new music. After she fixed everything with her taxes and all this stuff, she should be good. What Prince did was something entirely different. Prince, people don't understand. Prince did a lot of stuff to himself. Prince oversaturated the music. And when Prince oversaturated the industry, rather, like when Prince had Purple Rain. Purple Rain was an album that was gonna sell for like 2-3 years. That's why when like Michael Jackson put out Thriller, he wasn't putting out no more records. It was like Thriller was out, you don't touch it. You know what I'm saying? You let that one ride. You don't oversaturate the music industry. When Purple Rain was out, Prince turned right around and did Raspberry Beret. He put out Around the World in a Day. He put out that album. And that's one like a hard, rare album to find. And the videos are out. If it wasn't for those videos they made for that, it's entirely different from Purple Rain. Because see, when Purple Rain was out, Prince was already bored and tired of Purple Rain. He's the musician. You know how many times they worked on that, but when they did it, so by the time the public heard it, he was already tired of it. He was completely done with the album. So when they doing Purple Rain in the tour, the movie, because this y'all don't remember, but Purple Rain is a soundtrack. It's a soundtrack to the movie. So that wasn't really just an album. It was just a soundtrack to the movie. So when he did Purple Rain, he was working on the movie and everything else. So when the film came out and the movie and all of that, and it took off and put him from just an average artist to the mainstream Prince. Prince wrote everything in Purple Rain. He wrote the music, he wrote the song. There's no doubt he wrote Purple Rain. He wrote he played every note on Purple Rain. He played every instrument on Purple Rain. Complete. So the Lauryn Hill situation was different from Prince's situation. Prince had a contract that was worth over $100 million. with Warner Brothers. Prince's problem is when he kept fighting with the record label, is the record label has got to do their jobs. Prince wouldn't allow them to do their jobs because they keep telling him, Prince, you cannot release this music right now. You're oversaturating the music industry with music because you want to just keep putting it out. And he's like, the fans will find it. The fans, they want it. They don't want to hear this right now. Prince look at it the way he thinks the fans want what he wants when he wants it. And that's what the problem is in the disconnect. Prince don't understand the marketing standpoint of the music. He just saying the fans, they know it, they want it, just like Purple Rain, they'll find it. So without no marketing, no anything, he just threw the album out in the middle of Purple Rain success, the tours, the shows around the world in a day. Prince made that album in like 2 weeks. Actually, he bought that song. He didn't even write that song. Another guy had it. It had percussions. The whole sound is different. This other guy had the song that they had. And that is a misconception that Prince won't listen to nobody else's music. That was just part of the movie for Purple Rain. He does listen to people's music and wants to hear other people's music. Prince bought the song off the guy for Around the World in a Day. The guy made a song that was friends to a band member that was in the group. So when they got there and they did the show, and it was like, oh man, this is incredible. So oh, you talking about the movie Cadillac Records? That's the name of the movie. It's Cadillac Records. You talking about Howlin' Wolf? Beyonce was in it playing Ethel James. But see, the problem with Prince is after he did that, he dropped Around the World in a Day. And it's like, see, Prince, we could have made this album go way beyond what it did, and we could have marketed after Purple Rain. But Prince didn't want that. He didn't want the album marketed. He didn't want to do anything. He did a couple of videos. He wanted to just put it in the stores and said the people will go find it. And they did. And a lot of people didn't like the album. They didn't like Around. They didn't like the video. The video is very weird. It's like it's legendary now, but at the time it was weird. Everybody wanted to hear songs that sound more like Purple Rain. So this song, only song that really jumped off that album was Around the World in a Day was Raspberry Beret. She wore a raspberry beret, da, 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 the kind you find at the secondhand store, because it sounded just like something that was on Purple Rain. And now it was like, oh, that relates to like Purple Rain. That came out. So when this album was already out, it's a full-length album that came out. Then you would think he would have learned this lesson. Right after that, Prince comes right back out with a whole nother album called Kiss. Kiss! For Under the Cherry Moon. He releases this whole album. Prince releases this entire album. And they were like, you have no lead in. And his lead in was, ah! That was it. That was it. Ah! That's how you lead into a song. And the record companies would not put the record out. The record company was fighting him on releasing the records. And he said, no, I wanted to go out. And when he released it, and Kiss was the #1 record, and he had another #1 album, and all his #1 albums followed movies. The Batman soundtrack was his next #1 album, #1 song. It always was a soundtrack to a movie. But his problem was he didn't like to be dictated to, and they told Prince, no. And once you tell Prince no, you're telling Prince Rogers Nelson that he can't do something. Now you created a problem. So you're telling Prince he can't do this, he can't do that, and telling him when they're going to put his album out. Prince is like, I'm going to put it out anyway. And they were like, no, you will not. We will not let you release this record. And if you drop it independently on the streets, we will sue you. So Prince was upset. He had just did the Diamonds and Pearls album. And he was working with the label then. And he came back with the album with the logo when he had the New Power Generation. And he wanted to do his own work. And Warner Brothers was upset because they were fighting over Prince putting out too much music. I'm not going album for album for album for album. There's plenty of albums that I skipped over to get to this point when I went to the New Power Generation with Diamonds and Pearls. There's tons of albums out. Sign of the Times, right. There's tons. Prince got so many albums. You guys are just way, way off base. You will never be able to catch him. So during this whole process, this is why he wrote Slave on his face. During the We Are the World situation, and they thought that they had resolved this situation. When he's like, the record company owns you. You don't really own anything. And once Prince was realizing how the record business worked, and was like, the artist is going to end up with nothing in the end. You know, the record company is going to own it all. They control you. They control your music. Prince had money. Prince had tons of money. It wasn't about the money. If it was about money, Prince could just do shows and perform. If it was about the money, Prince owned. Do you know how many songs Prince have written? Prince have written songs for other people that you guys have played and didn't even know it was him. For Stevie Nicks, like all these other artists. Prince have like 60, 70 other songs that he wrote for other artists. He's paid. Completely paid. So he was definitely the Bangles. Yep, he's wrote songs people wouldn't even believe. Sheena Easton, everybody. And people like, Prince wrote that? It's like, yep, Prince wrote it. So Prince got a lot of writing credits and songs that people still love today that they make cover songs off of. Alicia Keys, a lot of her publishing is going right over to Prince. Yeah, Prince a ghostwriter. Prince used to write under his what he would put under a name like the artist. He wrote and did all the music for Morris Day and the Time before Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis got involved and started doing the songs. Prince, the only song they did on the album that blew them up, Prince did he did the song and the music for mostly everything the Time did. The only song that they had on that album really was Jungle Love. That was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Jungle Love. Oh, oh. I think I wanna know you, know you. That was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. But the song "The Bird," that was Prince wrote that. Da, 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 da. Ah! Hallelujah. Oh, Prince family owns his music now. His brothers, his sisters, they all own his catalog. Prince got control over all this music. He cut it. He cut a deal. He got control over all of it. He stayed in Minneapolis. He got his estate. They could turn it into a museum now. He's filmed all videos. He got stored. He filmed like real motion picture videos. He has Dominique dolls in there. I mean, he spent like millions of dollars making videos onto music that you've never heard, and got it he put it in a vault. Prince owns all of it. He made a video to Crystal Ball, that album, that which was like old. How much is it worth? About $400 million. $400 million is what it's worth, with a upside value of about $2.3 billion. Prince have about at least a minimum of 300 to 400 songs with music videos recorded and filmed. Dominique Dawes, she's in a lot of them. He put one out already, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, with her, but they actually filmed like 3 videos that day. Yeah, and they end up suing Jay-Z, and Jay-Z countersued him because he was like, Prince wanted me to have his music. So they're like, yeah, well, that ain't finna work. Oh yeah, Rick James wanted to play Prince in basketball. That was funny. I'll explain that story to you later. But yeah, Rick James wanted to play Prince in basketball. That was funny. No, Prince wanted to do a deal with Tidal, with Jay-Z. He loved what Jay-Z was doing because this is what Prince was talking about. Prince was always about controlling your own masters and controlling, the streaming service and everything else. Prince was all for that. So he liked what Jay-Z was doing, and he was gonna put his album exclusively on Tidal that he had for his new music. He wanted to put it on Tidal because Prince's last projects, people didn't even see it. Like, it was in the stores and people just wouldn't buy it or just wasn't interested, but it was out there, so for those who loved the music, they were picking it up. And Prince was just doing shows. Prince is loaded. He didn't even need money. Like, it's like people just have a very misconception when it comes to Prince. Prince loved doing music. His addiction was the music. He wanted to still perform. He wanted to still be out there. He wanted to still do certain things. And y'all don't understand how Prince was. He wasn't a guy to sit still. He played every musical instrument. like every musical instrument. Period. He's exceptional. So his contract situation was a lot different from Lauryn Hill's. It was a whole different situation. But they both walked away from millions of dollars. So that's where it kind of coincides, where they both put moral value over things. Hers was family and sanity. She didn't like being pressured. She never dealt with being in that atmosphere of being an A-list celebrity. She was on the A-list. She had movie deals on the table. She had people, agencies coming up to her, wanting to represent her. It was, she just couldn't deal with that. She could not deal with Hollywood. She couldn't deal with that kind of fame. So I understood that. No, I think he would have done a deal for one of his albums, but he wouldn't have given his entire catalog over to no Jay-Z. That just that wasn't. I doubt that was the case. Oh no, Prince played with Charlie Murphy. He played basketball with him, and he beat Charlie Murphy in basketball. He played them after a game. Prince was a mastermind at basketball, man. He was really really good. He was just too short at that time. At that time, if you were really short, they really didn't put you in the NBA. So, and plus he didn't like the coach. He got into it with the coach of the team, and that just ended his basketball career. And he just like, forget that. I'm going to play music. And Prince, he went to try to get a job one time, and it just wasn't going to work out. He's just like, I can't do that. And he's just like, look, I'm just going to stay focusing on my music. And that was that, because there was no way Prince could work a job. He just was not made to work a job. It was not going to work for him. No, Method Man was gonna do that was another thing. Method Man was gonna do a song with Lauryn Hill. Uh, a lot of people were lined up to do songs, but they blocked it all. Like the record company wouldn't let Lauryn Hill and Method Man do the song, and Erica Badu ended up doing the song with. Erica Badu came and did the song with Method Man, and he was supposed to do one with Lauryn Hill. He had did one with Erica Badu, Mary J, and he wanted to do a song with Lauryn Hill. And the record label came in and canceled all of that. Just wiped that right out. Because Nas was like the first one outside of the Fugees really to do the song with Lauryn. Back when the Fugees blew up. Because when they made the song, the Fuji album it was just perfect timing. It wasn't like the Fugees blew and he got Lauryn. He got Lauryn right when they were making the Fuji album. Then when they were doing ooh la la la, when they did Fuji La and all that, when they was working that, Nas was making his album at the same time, so they was in the same studio, and they was able to do the If I Rule the World, because they was both on Columbia. So when they got the deal done, she came in with the deal through Rough House. He was signed directly to Columbia, but she was signed with Rough House, Columbia. That's how they did the deal, and it was easy for them to do If I Rule the World together. So when the Fuji album came out first, Lauryn Hill had blew all the way up. So when the song was coming out, it became the lead single for Nas and Lauryn Hill. And then Lauryn Hill is singing the hook. It just blew out. It just went straight through the roof. radio spins like crazy. So now it was like, yes, now we got our artists that sell, both artists is selling, and it propelled Nas to the top of the rap game. Easy. No, Lauryn don't need a verse on that song. They paid her for the hook, and that was it. No, because Nas wasn't available when she was making that album. Nas wasn't available. Nas was making his Nas was doing 2 CDs at one time. He was doing the I Am, and he was doing the Nostradamus CD. So Nas was working on 2 different albums at 2 different times. You know, they both came out in the same year. I Am and Nostradamus came out towards the end of the year, and that's the way he wanted to do it when they separated the projects. They were like, at the end of the year, we're going to come with Nostradamus because we're going into the new millennium. So that's what the whole Nostradamus album was about. It was like ending the era from the 90s to 1999. This is what the new beginning is going to be like. Welcome to the new world, new beginning, a new way to play, a new way of spending. Cash is the past, a new way of spending, a new life for man, children, and women. There'll be new Mike Tyson's, Roy Jones, new JFK without the hole in his dome. The new Donald Trump is Bill Gates. It's not because of his money, it's because we respect his cake. The meaning stock, net gross. Hustlers stay up, yo, swing for the most. And it's crazy. Everything he talked about in that song is true today. Talking about how the future would be. Everything he told you. Now you don't even have to eat. Swallow a pill and it's a full course meal. No more dialing you up on the phone. Now that we request for your email address. Alexander Graham Bell made telephones, yes, but now we request for your email address. I might be old-fashioned and stuck in my ways, but nothing makes me more happier than seeing today. Welcome to the new world, new beginning, a new way to play, a new way of spending. Cash is the past, a new way of living. A new life for man, children, and women. Yeah, when I did the video about Nas and Jay-Z and I told them about that actual beef and explained to them what was happening, people were blown away by that video. They were blown away by that video. Yeah, I did a whole trailer review to that, Nolan. But they were blown away by that movie, man. I mean, by that whole video I did. I know, it's a lot of people's first video they watched of me is when I broke down the Nas and Jay-Z beef. Because they never heard it broke down like that, ever. And they went back and said, oh my God, this guy's right. Right as rain. Yeah, the media kept it out because Jay-Z didn't want it out. Nas didn't want it out. So when you got both sides of the parties don't want certain information out, they just want to do what they want to do, then wait, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Yeah, man, it was great. Love educating people. But yeah, Method Man was supposed to be on a song with Lauryn Hill on either his album To Cal 2000, and I believe it was To Cal 2000. And it was like When I Get That Feeling, and that was the name of the song. And when I get that feeling, I can no longer hide. But I can't even tell, no, no. And when I get that feeling, I can no longer hide. I can no longer tell, no, no, no. And when I get that feeling, see my pinky, see my thumb, see that boy with the pump shotgun, Mr. Meth be the cardinal's death. It was the same verse that he uses on Judgment Day. I actually have that song, and I believe that was Blue Raspberry or Taquita from the Wu-Tang. Uh, they were supposed to have their albums come out, and they got pushed out and destroyed for whatever reason. RZA didn't put their albums out, and that was the song they ended up having her on. It was, I think it was Blue Raspberry's song. Now, if you know how important Blue Raspberry was, or in Taquita, like Taquita was alright, but she wasn't Blue Raspberry. Blue Raspberry that was it. Rainy Days, she just killed that. Make it through those rainy days. Make it through those rainy days. Get me through those rainy days. I lost him to the straight line. Shoot, man. Glacier's Eyes. Don't get weary. Children, don't get weary. Blue Raspberry had an album. I believe that's her on the song, but that song was supposed to be for Lauryn Hill. Like when I got this feeling, or when I get this feeling. I have it on cassette. And Method Man is on there. Method Man is singing the verse that's on Judgment Day when he comes in. See my pinky, you see my thumb, see my boy with the pump shotgun. Mr. Meth plays the gun, no death. Songs are too long. He's not singing it like he did on the Judgment Day. You didn't know Stack could did down like. I can no longer hide. Let me see if I can find. I guarantee you, somebody on the internet has that song. Somebody on the internet on YouTube has this song. I guarantee it's just sitting on YouTube somewhere. Somebody has it. Nope, that ain't it. I don't think this is it. It's not it. I'm gonna find this song.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my torture chamber.
Oh man, this is gonna tick me off. This is gonna tick me off because I don't think it's on here. This is terrible. This is real terrible right now. I'm mad. And now I gotta stay up and I ain't gonna be able to get any sleep. Because I want to find out exactly what this is. Gosh, it was called When I Get This Feeling. I know the whole song, I know the music, I know the words, and I cannot. I can't. It's my cousins. Man, I can't find it, y'all. I tried. Honest, I did. But this is the last ride. Did somebody say we need another album versus album? We just did one. East St. Louis. Yeah, but I'm going to end this so everybody can go back to the beginning and get caught up. And we'll holler at y'all later. I'm going to try to figure this one out. And I'm going to find this song, man, from Method Man and Lauryn Hill. The one they were supposed to do together.
Before I blow back off the map contract, you didn't
This is it.
get down like that.
And when I get that feeling, I
Yeah,
can no
yeah.
longer slide.
This is it.
I can no longer run. And when I get that feeling,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can no longer hide. There's no longer fall.
All day, every day.
You can search your door. Racing through the mind, I feel the same.
About you.
And you can
Yeah, I found it. This was the original. This was Judgment Day.
See my pinky, see my thumb, see that kid with the pump shotgun. Mr. Mac, hold the fort, most deaf. Cats is dead wrong, songs too long. Mr. Big Mouth, could that be trap? You need to dish out your style, no doubt. Shallon strut through the Shallon slum. Rum pum pum on my Shallon drum. Yeah.
Told you. Told you I was gonna find it. I found it. It's exactly how I said it. It was with a chick named Texas that ended up doing the song. Some white singer named Texas did the song. That was gonna be Lauryn Hill. Take her out the mix, and it was gonna be Lauryn Hill. Man, I remember that song like the back of my hand. Man, I was gonna be up all night if I ain't find that song. The name of the song, so y'all want to look it up, is called Say What You Want. But that's the same lyrics from that ended up being on Judgment Day. He ended up taking the lyrics and putting it on Judgment Day for the Takao 2000. Now I can go to bed. I can now rest. I have. Yes, that song is from 97, bro. 1997. Well, I'm gone. I've done as long as I could go. Your boy is out. I'm going straight to bed now. No plan.